that the subject that we are going to be discussing today is one very important and relevant one for just about anyone, really, in whatever industry, whether you're a creative, a day-to-day professional. You know, the points that we'll touch on are just about, they're very important, and you can't really separate or isolate it to, you know, the creatives or Thomas who has his job at Netbank or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think we're going to have an insightful discussion. And I think that, you know, as I start, two things for me. I want to make this as interactive as possible. So I might ask, you know, at some point that maybe, you know, we unmute our mics and, you know, we talk, you know, we hear your voice, nyana, you know, we find out who is where, what the vibes are, and etc. And the other thing that I think I should have communicated earlier is that for people who feel like they really need what we are going to be, you know, discussing, and, you know, the insights and the tips and the tricks and whatever, it would help if you had your CV ready somewhere around where you are. Just have it there by you, you know, so that maybe as we go further, you can pop some questions, or I can make, you know, room for you guys to share your questions as we move along, and, you know, that type of thing. So I'm going to get started now because it is, you know, 5:07. And yeah, okay, let's just get the show on the road, people. Let's get the show on the road. So I'm hoping that everyone can see my screen. If you can see my screen, please say yay. Don't thumbs up, say yay. I want to hear your voices, please.
Yay.
Cool. Now, an important part of the yay nay situation is you're gonna have to, you know, you mute. So you unmute and you go yay and then you mute, you know, just so there's very little disturbance. Yeah, so my name is Vumboni Msimango. I am as multifaceted as it gets. I'm a creative, I'm a professional, I have my own, you know, businesses and etc. And I think that I am in a fairly decent position to have this discussion with everyone because of the different industries that I have sort of been exposed to. So this is me presently as it stands. I completed my MSc, Masters in Environmental Sciences at the University of Venda. I completed that, well, officially I completed it last year, even though there is still a bit of a situation, Yana, that needs to be sorted out. People familiar with Univen will understand that situations emerge quite a lot. I'm also presently pursuing a systems development diploma with MindWorks. It's a superb institution. It's based in Sandton. So if you're interested in data sciences, analytics, web development, etc., you should check them out. And as I indicated, to open things up, I am a business builder. I own businesses rather, and at the core of what I do is I help build businesses. So I identify as a toe. No, I'm kidding. I identify as a business builder. And, you know, we can have that discussion on the side afterwards if you want to, like, you know, share some of your money with me so that I can help you, you know, so sharp. Cool. So today, the point of this gathering today is so that we can figure out how you can structure your CVs in a way that has an impact, right? Because ultimately the point of, you know, you drafting a CV and sending it out, given, you know, the landscape, the employment landscape, and given how small the world is, and by small, I mean that for the most part, you are no longer competing with South Africans. You know that in South Africa, it's difficult to read. The employment landscape is already difficult, but to make matters worse, you are competing with people in other continents. If you're looking for remote work, and more often than not, freelancers are in the business of remote work, the world is extremely big, which means it's extremely, you know, competent. And so the standards at which we present ourselves, or ourselves, needs to really be at a certain, level, and it needs to make impact. As soon as I see your CV, as soon as I see whatever application you're submitting to me, I need to it needs to pull me in, and that ability to pull someone in, that is impact. The other thing is we want to make sure that, your CV it communicates your competency, right? Because a lot of the times people are good at certain things, but don't necessarily have the ability to communicate those competencies. And so there can be a disconnect between how good you are at something and how well you communicate that. And so a big part of what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be trying to optimize the manner in which you communicate your competencies. And the other thing is we also want to communicate how innovative you are, because ultimately, as a merchant in whatever capacity, as a freelancer, as someone who works for someone, there's some level of innovation that you claim you come with. So if I'm saying I'm coming to your team and there's 10 other people who are within the same industry and we all have the same qualifications, the one thing that's going to set me apart is the idea or the illusion that I am innovative in the way that I use the things that we all have. So if you have Canva and I have Canva, when we pull up for a job together and we say, listen, we want this job, your innovativeness is what says pick me over the other. It's you saying, I know how to use Canva better than the next person, better than the next person. And so that is what we want to, communicate through this. And these are some wise words here to really get you pumped up and excited and, whoop, whoop. I hope you're feeling the energy. It's up here. It's up here. If your energy is still done here, I'm sorry, guys, but I also understand it's 5 p.m. It's a Wednesday, so I'm with the vibes. Anyway, before we start, I don't know how many people there are in here, but thank you for that feedback. I don't know if it was accidental or intentional, but whatever the case may be, I appreciate it. You're a superstar. So there's 25 people here, right? As quickly as possible, I need you guys to scan this thing because it's gonna cut off 5 of you. So we're gonna do a little, icebreaker, a fun little thing. We have 15 questions here that I want us to sort of play around with. It's general trivia, icebreaker, loosen the mood, have a bit of wine, have a bit of, a charcuterie board with your cheeses and cold meats, and it's a vibe. It's a vibe. This thing is a vibe. Okay, we're not gonna make this boring. So please scan this. Let me also see if I can copy this code here for the people who copy this link address. I'm gonna paste it in the chat. Can I paste in the chat, admin? Yes, I can paste in the chat. So, and I also need you guys to unmute your mics for this one, so that we can talk for a little bit. We're talking on. Let me just switch. Once you guys have scanned, please let me know because I'm gonna start this thing. And if you guys have not, okay, I see 9 of 20. Okay, cool. Let's go, people. Let's go. Let's sign up. Make it quick, make it happy. Okay, I see. I'm seeing the numbers. The numbers are moving. The people are excited. The energy is contagious. We are here. You know what I mean? Let's go, people. Let's go. So that we try to save time as well. Okay, cool. This is gonna be competitive. I'll send someone a few sweeties if they win this situation here. If they pull up. Okay. So I'm gonna start this thing, man. I'm gonna count down. And basically, I'm going to count it down. I'm going to make it 15 seconds countdown so that those people who are not ready yet can just, Cool. So it's going to start now. And basically, it's just trivia. You just answer a bunch of questions. And then, we'll see as it goes. We'll see as it goes how the vibes are vibing. So I'm going to officially start now. The countdown is starting. And yeah, are the people with me? I want to know if the people are with me here. Let's see how want to see how well you know your country,
Aye,
want to see how well you know your country. Let's go, people. Let's go. The answers. You must be answering there. Okay. You see, people are confused. You see, people are confused. Let's go. Let's go. Well, this is an elimination round. This is because I wanted to save time, So if you get anything wrong, you are out, and it's gonna be a last man standing situation. So take your time. Take your time. Think about it. Okay? You need to think about what you say. A few people are out already. A good number, in fact, is gone. Okay, let's see. Let's see what the vibes are. See, people are out. We have 6 contenders. It's heating up. It's heating up. Let's go, people. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Here we go. Someone would tell you that it was in 2009 or something. So select 2009. What are these options? If you missed this one, I have a beef with you. I have a serious beef with you. Let's see. Okay, you guys got it. Let's go. No, it's still in there. Okay, there's 2 people who got it right, the 2 survivors. You see, 17 eliminated. We just have 2 people going head to head. Oh, sorry, there's Nelson Mandela there. My bad. I was about to speak right now with you guys. This one is gonna knock all of you out. I think this one knocks.
No. No.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. Who's remaining? I think it's one. See, guys, it's one person who survived. One person survived, My people will get in touch, to award this person the relevant prizes, because now there's one person and we can't keep going, you know what I mean? We can't keep going because it's just one person and
it was reached.
You see now you're saying I sabotaged you. I see there's 12 people still playing, interestingly enough. So you guys logged on again. Nah, guys. Okay, cool. It's okay. We're gonna stop this here because we know who our winner is, so we're not gonna continue. But it was fun playing this game with you guys. So we're gonna stop it here. And we appreciate it. We appreciate your participation. I'm gonna send sweeties. I'm gonna find someone to help me send sweeties when the time is right. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna get into it. Gonna get a little bit serious, and we're gonna sort of punch down on the clock because we are trying to be as timely as possible. Let me just make my screen full screen as well. Okay, so this is just a general glossary of terms. CV, there's a resume, there's a portfolio, there's an objective statement, and there's an ATS system there that you hear a lot when people are talking about CVs. So the first part is particularly important. Those 2 words, CV, resume, people tend to confuse them a lot. I'm sure that someone here one day in their lifetime, they use them interchangeably. But the difference between a CV and a resume is that a CV provides the complete picture of all your experiences, right? So everything you've ever done. If it's 3 pages long, then that is what your CV is. Whereas a resume is a far more focused effort. So with a resume, we only want the experiences that are relevant to the thing that you are applying for. Ne? And with a resume, you also have to be a bit more specific about the experiences that you want to include. So if you have 10 jobs that you've had in the last 3 years, then you want to hone down on 1 or 2 that are extremely aligned with what you are looking for, right? And so your portfolio, this is where you showcase your work as a creative. This is where you have your PDF saying, I've done this. This is where you have your Canva pages. This is where you have your websites, showcasing the work that you have done so that, it provides a practical reference to your potential employer. Your objective statement, you're going to see it because we're going to go through a few CVs as well. This is the hello, this is me statement. I am this person. This is your sales pitch in your CV. This is how you effectively, quickly communicate what you are doing here, what you are about, and what you are hoping to get out of this experience and out of your professional life in general. The ATS system, I just okay, cool. The ATS system is a system that companies decided to develop and apply when they discovered Uri. Hey, there's a lot of people who are unemployed, and it is not practical for us to consistently look at millions, thousands, billions of CVs coming in, right? So they said we want to rig the system. We want to make the system such that before we even start talking to you, before we start looking at you, we get the best candidates. And the best candidates in the context of the ATS system don't necessarily mean the most qualified. It means the person who's able to effectively communicate who they are, what they are about, and how they fit into the picture, or how they can, how they would make sense for a company that is looking to hire. So we're just gonna go, we're gonna go through this section here, the resume section. This is a standard format, right, for your resume. I don't have a physical resume. I wish I did. I would hold it up and try to be cool and be like this really cool lecturer. I was like, hey guys, I'm with you. Yeah. So your resume is obviously, it's a body, and much like a body, there are different components to it. There's the head, there is the hands here, the chest, the abdominal region, the legs, whatever. And in the context of your CV, your head consists of your name and your contact information. This is your standard CV format. This is what you ought to apply. This is best practice. So the things that I'm going to be sharing with you guys are best practice. It may not be the only way to do it, but this is best practice, right? So you have your objective statement or summary, which can also be, called the About Me section. It's a brief introduction into you, who you are, what you're about, what you do. Your skills, obviously, this is where you get to communicate what you are capable of doing. As far as skills are concerned, you can break them down into 2 or 3. So you can break them into interpersonal skills, and you can break them into technical skills. So interpersonal skills, or let's call them management skills. No, not management. Let's stick to the interpersonal skills. These are I am a team leader. I communicate well. I work hard. Those would be your what did I call them? I forgot what I just called them. But these are the skills that your interpersonal skills. These are the skills that communicate to the company that, as an individual, before we get to what you are actually able to do in the context of your technical proficiencies, how do you relate to people? How do you relate to your work as a person emotionally? We're trying to understand the psychological functionings of this person. Can you work in a team? Can you lead a team? Can you manage your time? Are you organized? These are interpersonal skills, right? So you can separate it into that, and then you can separate it into your technical skills, which is just as important. So if in my interpersonal skills I have project management, time management, people management, hard work, and whatever else, my technical skills now would be, what thing did I study, or what tools have I gathered that make me suitable for this job? So in my case, because I'm trying to make this as, I'm in structuring this thing, I try to make it as general as possible, to be able to cater to, the hardcore creatives and the average professionals. And I think I'm fortunate enough because I sort of exist in both spectrums, right? So as a creative, your technical skills, let's say you are a photographer or videographer, or a graphic designer. Let's use graphic designer. Your technical skills would be things like Corel Draw, Illustrator, Photoshop. You can include what is it called? Canva, if you desire. As a photographer, this would be Lightroom, Photoshop, I don't know, Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, stuff like that, right? As a technical skill, I could say, retouching as a photographer. I could say, color grading, I could say editing, right? These are the technical proficiencies. As a person who does, systems development, I could say R programming, C sharp. I mean, these are languages, but I would say R programming, C sharp, I would say Python, I would say, so these are the technical proficiencies, because now we want to know, are you capable of showing up to this role and carrying out the work? We know that you're a nice person. We know that you have we appreciate your interpersonal skills, but as far as what we need you for, the deliverables, are you capable of, pulling up and presenting those for us, right? So that's that. And then your experiences, this is where you communicate what you've done before. This is your job titles and your key responsibilities. There's education as well. So I studied here, I studied there. And a critical part of, the structure of your CV is that it has to have a consistent formatting. And what we mean by that is, if you're going to use a font for your body, then you need to use a specific font for your body. So when I say your body, I mean that obviously my name at the top of my CV is going to be big, right? So I could use another font. When I'm communicating my skills, depending on where I'm putting my skills in my CV, because they're different styles and we're going to explore them in a bit more detail, I could use a specific font for my skills, depending on the overall design. Maybe I hired someone fancy who can do fancy things to my CV, and they put my skills on the left, and I can use a different font. But then now, when we talk about the text of my body, that font also needs to be consistent. So everywhere I'm talking, so for example, let's look at experiences here, right? If we're looking at experiences, I'm not going to share as of yet. I just want to highlight this so that we follow, so that you guys follow with me. So if we're talking about this part, hey, that didn't work. That didn't work, guys. I apologize. When we're talking about this part here, so my job title, for example, could have a different font, right? But then all my jobs need to have a specific font. So if a photographer, if there's photographer and the editor, and I worked these jobs at different times, those job titles need to have the same font. If I'm using Arial up there, I need to use Arial up here. But now when I talk about my key responsibilities, that font also has to be consistent. It cannot be skewed. It cannot be, they have to be consistent, because the systems that I used are tailored in such a way that they check for these consistencies. They check for misalignments. So if you are off, the system is like, this person says they are organized, but they have not organized their formatting in an acceptable way, right? So that's important. And again, we're going to go through practical experiences just so you guys understand what we are talking about. So these will be your standard guidelines. When you're creating your resume, whether you're a creative or a professional, it's important that your resume is structured in a way that emphasizes the relevant skills for the job. So, I mean, me and my systems development and my Pythons and my, C sharps and my whatever, in as much as these are technical skills, if I'm applying for a job to be an in-house photographer and they want my CV, I cannot include these skills because they are not relevant. Because what it does is it makes the person who is offering you the job, I mean, they see that, but then it confuses them about whether you would be a good fit for this job. Not because your skills are great, but okay, so then which skills are you particularly good at? Because you're giving me everything. And now I have to go through the process of figuring out, so is this person good at programming, or is this person good at, photography and Adobe and whatever? On the flip side, if I just keep my skills and the wording and my job, the job histories that I use specific and organized in such a way that they communicate the relevant skills for the job, then it puts me in a better position. When I'm looking at a photographer, I'm looking for them to be able to, as I said, edit their photos, be able to use Lightroom, be able to use Photoshop. It's like it's a group of softwares that make sense. These softwares make sense in the context of these jobs. So these are relevant skills in that regard. if I am out there doing my systems development, what, if I include photographer there, it's cool and they probably won't dismiss me, but it doesn't do much in the context of selling me. Because the point of what we are doing is we're trying to sell ourselves. This is a sales pitch, and your CV is your elevator pitch. And if me, I'm confused now about your CV, and then I see another CV that's more organized, and that speaks a lot more clearly to what we are dealing with here. My guy, you're in trouble, right? Cool. Now, the second part is, is one that I think is just as important. There are many of us who are multifaceted, and there are many of us who have had to be forced to be multifaceted because of the nature of our economy and whatever. So what this means is I'm a photographer, I'm a, computer, what systems, what. You need to have two separate CVs that are ready at all times that will speak to this. Do not try to use your CV or resume to communicate all these things at once. It's confusing. I don't want to be confused as the hiring manager. There's too many of you, and the other thing is using industry specific words, terminology, the syntax, the language. If I am a social media manager, SEO, ads, posting, Canva, leads, sales leads, conversions, lead retention. This is language. This language goes hand in hand with my line of work. And so my entire CV needs to speak the language of the industry that I am in. Now I'm gonna move a bit because I'm also trying to balance time, and I see that I'm talking a lot here. Now, as I said, and I'm going to show you practical examples very quickly, so that it's not just all this stuff. In fact, I'm almost tempted to ditch this and just go there, but let's just bear with me. An ATS system, as I said, is an applicant tracking system. It was developed to sort of cull people who are not able to communicate and keep the ones who are able to communicate and who have the relevant experiences. So how it works is it scans for keywords and it filters out applications based on the presence of relevant keywords. So for example, someone who is a farmer or whatever could quite literally go and submit a CV for an accounting job, and if they can find a way to just make their whole CV have words that speak to accounting, tax, audit, this, that, reconciliation, Sage, a QuickBooks, this person could score an interview before the person who actually has the relevant experience, because this person, submitted a CV that has the right language. So ultimately, you also need to approach this in a strategic manner. Sometimes you may not necessarily have all the things that these people are looking for. You may be a social media manager, a digital marketing manager, etc., etc. And sometimes you may not have certain things that they're looking for. But if you structure your resume in such a way that it speaks to the overall job description, because when these people are using the ATS system, they're including these keywords and phrases. They're telling this system, hey, you need to prioritize CVs that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many words. These are the ones that we prefer. And the more words in this regard, the better. So if you go to LinkedIn, for example, there's a feature there where if you have, you consistently update your skills, when there is a job, it's going to tell you that you have 7 out of 10 of the skills that have been, presented there, or you have 3 out of 10, or you have 10 out of 10 or whatever. That's basically how the ATS system works. It says this person is all these words that they have programmed into me as ATS the system, and so I'm going to bring this person into the next into the next step of this whole hiring process. So it's important because ultimately this is a robot, this is a system, it's algorithm based, and you want it to get to the human beings, the HR people there. Otherwise, if you don't use the relevant language, then guys, it's not going to work out for you. So as I said, to crack it, you need to use keywords from the job descriptions. Sometimes, it helps to sort of just go through the different job offers of the type of work that you're looking for, and then have a look at the general language that they use, and then you go back to your CV and you adjust it accordingly. You don't make up lies because, well, hey, but don't make up lies. What I'm saying is you could adjust it accordingly, so that you have those key phrases. It's the same principle as in what is it, SEO, right? For a lot of you freelancers, I think that this would be relatable. The basis of it is, if there are these words, these keywords, when someone goes to search for this thing and this keyword is there, then it means that the results from my website or whatever are going to pop up, because there's that connection, right, between the keyword that was used and the keywords that you have in your text and etc. So that is basically how that goes. So the other thing is, you need to make sure that your CV is formatted properly. I've spoken about this already. Align it, make sure that things are aligned. Not the one thing is not too much that side, the other there, because then if the system detects such things, it makes it harder for it to read everything, right? You want to avoid fancy layouts. You want to avoid non-standard fonts. Standard fonts would be Calibri, it would be Times New Roman, and it would be Arial. I should have included it there, because sometimes what happens is you will use a fancy font and then you convert your document to a PDF, and then for some reason, because your PDF or the PDF that those people are going to be using, the PDF reader that those people are going to be using, give me a second. I'm preaching, and I'm preachers sweat, when they get in the zone and the Holy Spirit is there, it's fire. But maybe the person is using Adobe, for example, and their Adobe doesn't have all these fancy fonts that you used. What happens is that your CV will go through your system looking nice, but then when it gets to their system and they have to open it with their PDF reader, the fonts are maybe now, clumped together, or they are weirdly spaced or whatever, because that system does not have the font packs that you may have. And I experienced this a lot initially, because I'm in the creative space as well. I do copywriting and all these things, and sometimes I'm a nerd for fonts. I absolutely love fonts. I have packs and packs and packs of downloaded fonts, right? And so I would create my CV using this new font that I like, and then I would convert it into PDF. And because that Adobe Acrobat reader didn't have that, and it was pirated, so it is not able to quickly go online and check if it would sort of clump things together, it would spread things apart, and so on and so forth. So that is something that you need to be on the lookout for. Just keep it simple, keep it consistent. Your point is communicating. You want to communicate as easily and as effectively as possible, right? Now we're going to come to upskilling. In your CV, it's important to continuously, we want to be able to see that this person is a learner. Every employer wants to know that, this person learns, because the market is consistently changing. There's new tools every other day that are being introduced. And I want to see that the person I'm hiring is a learner, right? So for you now, as an individual, this is not necessarily in the context of the CV, this is for you. You need to continuously learn. There's one day there's Notion, the next day there's Airtable, the next day there's SEO, the next day it's something different from SEO, all these different things. You need to stay current, you need to stay relevant, and you need to continuously learn. And when you continuously learn, you build up those skills, you get those skills. If it's doing a certificate with Udemy, Coursera, Degreed, whatever, you do that, you get that, you put it on your CV. What does it say? It says, hey, this person is consistently learning. And it also says, oh, this person has something here that seems relevant to what we do, but we don't necessarily know much about it. If we hire this person could bring in this skill. And who knows, maybe it helps us in that regard, right? So you need to continuously learn, you need to continue to upskill, and you need to continuously include this skill set in your CV. But remember to make it a focused and concerted effort. It's not just a bunch of things. If I learned how to play a keyboard yesterday and I got an internet certificate about playing a keyboard, there's no need for me to include that as an accomplishment or as a skill. It has nothing to do with what we are working with. The other thing is building a portfolio of your skills, right? Many people want portfolios. If you're a creative, you know what this means. But people who are also, yes, creatives know what this means. People who are in the web developers, data analysts, scientists, etc., they have to develop portfolios. So it could be, in my case, if it's in an analytics capacity, they may want to see dashboards, Power BI dashboards, or Tableau dashboards that I once did. They may want to all these things. Upskilling and learning allows you to do two things. The first thing it allows you is it allows you to learn, obviously, right? You're learning, you're growing, great, we love it for you. The other thing it allows you to do is it allows you to create projects of your own. You come up with problems, you come up with scenarios, you come up with solutions, you create those solutions. Obviously, if you're a social media manager, you cannot necessarily make up that I don't know, I managed this page and I was able to get them leads. It may not necessarily be, practical, but in the other skills, for your entire skill set, if you're continuously learning and you're developing your own projects, if as a social media manager, you could go volunteer to manage someone else's page for free. I'm not saying, do things for free, but I'm saying you could go volunteer to manage someone else's page and say, hey, let me do this, because now you want to apply the skills that you gathered, isn't it? You could say, guys, may I manage your WordPress website? May I update your copyright, etc., because you want to apply your skills. In doing so, you are creating projects that you can leverage when you go to work, because now when we have to speak, in fact, you're going to send me your CV. It passes the ATS scans, it gets to the person. But following that, maybe there's a cover letter. I don't know if we'll have time to touch on that. There's a cover letter, and then there is a portfolio, and then it says, oh my word, this person, everything about this person is aligned. They go through a CV. Oh, this person's impressive. They go through a cover letter. Okay, we hear your story, and then there's a portfolio there. Maybe it's in a Canva or some website or whatever, and then they open that portfolio, and then they see all these projects that you've done. Sold. Amazing. You know what I mean? So it enhances your chances in that regard. And so you need to upskill. You need to take the initiative to grow as an individual and take on these projects, build your own projects, and just keep them in the tuck for when the time comes. So quick takeaways: you need to customize your resume, use keywords, highlight your achievements. You need to be professional in how you communicate everything. Continuous learning is key. You need to create your own projects, as I just mentioned, because it allows you to exercise your muscle, but it also allows you to have things that you can leverage when you go apply for this work. We don't want to use generic templates, right? We want to have, if I'm applying for this job, that has to do with creative, what, I need to make sure that I have a CV specifically suited for this type of work, and I have a CV that is specifically suited for this type of work. You don't need to be changing your CVs often. You just need to get a general sense of the landscape you belong in, find out, what happens in this industry. If it's your digital marketing industry, find out what the vibes are, and then you create that CV and it stays there. If you're an accountant as well, you go that side and then you create that one in such a way that it matches with industry standards and whatever, and you keep it there. And then every time when there's like a digital marketer, you send this one. Accountant, send this one. Financial controller, send this one. Financial analyst, send this one. A copywriter, send. You know what I mean? So you just need to have that sorted, and yeah, cool. The other thing is, I don't advocate for what do you call them, for profile pictures in CVs, because I feel that it could be bad. It may not work out very well for you. It could create a bias against you, and it could discredit you. So you want to, in my opinion, you want to stay away from using profile pictures, and you want them to see the content, and you want them to be impressed by the person before they even get to see you. And if you do that, I think it enhances your chances of going through and progressing in that specific process far more. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open these two CVs that I have here with me. I see that I'm running out of time. So I may not necessarily be able to do everything that I wanted to do. But let me just, how do I exit this thing again? Okay, let's end this show. Discard for now. Okay. Let me just.
While you're looking for the for the CV, Kanya has had their hand up. Kanya, would you
Okay.
like to share? Kanya, are you still there?
Okay, we can't seem to find Kanya, unfortunately. So we're just gonna go through this. So I'm gonna show you. I hope you can see all these things. Yes, great. I'm gonna show you this one because it's one of my favorite projects. This is a CV of an accounting person, right? You see the experiences there. They just got to it: experiences, education, and then they went to the second page, their work. They showcase their work, and then they showcase their references. I think I would like to ask you guys what you think is wrong with this, but I don't think we have time for that interactiveness. So I'm just gonna, point it out for you, and I'm gonna show you um, the alternative version of it, right? So this person is great. This person has skills. This person is with cyber. They know all these softwares. They are a CFA level 1 candidate. They did a fintech and business certificate with UCT. Oh my word, impressive. But the outline of their CV is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. As you can see, some of this text here it's we don't know what's happening because yeah, the colors there, it's overlapping. Everything just seems all over the place, right? Now I'm going to quickly show you the alternative version of that, just so you see what we are talking about, the difference, right? The alternative version of that is that, number one, let me close the other two because they are no longer relevant. Number one is, because this is page one, you're a salesperson, and as I said, this is a sales pitch, and the first page I'm going to look at, if let's say by some luck this goes through ATS and it makes it, when it finally gets to the person behind the ATS and they look at this, oh my word, this is what is I'm not impressed, right? On the flip side, if you look at this page here, let's just look at order and organization and readability. This thing is absolutely organized. It reads better. It's consistent. The fonts are consistent. So the thing I was trying to communicate about having, if you're going to use a different font for subheadings like this one here, you use it consistently throughout. And then for your text, it's consistent. We love consistency. This is the about me. This is the sales pitch. This is why you need to come in. I'm a qualified business accountant. I have a strong passion for optimizing business functionality and minimizing costs. These are where my expertise are. Before, and in fact, this thing could have just ended here. It could have ended right at this point before, because sometimes it can be a lot to read. But already I'm like, oh wow, look at this person. I'm pulled in because of the order and the readability, the aesthetic of it. As a creative, you need to have a good appreciation for aesthetics. We are not talking about having too many stickers, just organized aesthetics. It does a lot for you. These are the skills. The skills are properly organized, right? Even though this could have been, I think, yeah, these are the skills. These are the technical skills, I'd say. So financial analysis, auditing, and compliance management. We see this is organized. Let me quickly get. I want to get you a one from the creative. Oh yeah. I hope my things are guys. Okay, cool. Got it. There we go. This is a more generic one, but I just want you to see what we are talking about. This is a marketing manager. Let me get I have a template for a UX or what do they call it, a UX, user interface person, as well as I chase time. There we go. I think this does a much better job for me. Now, if you look at this is as perfect as a CV can get, as a CV can get. The colors are extremely complementary. So sure, there's gray, there's whites, there's black, there's a different shade of gray, but these colors are complementary and they do justice to the text in those specific sections. Here you see the skills layout. It's organized. It's on one side and the spacing is even. under the thereby the language section as well. The spacing is even. You look at the experience, the spacing is even, the font use is consistent. This sells, right? This sells you. It isn't like it isn't just a bunch of information about what you've done. I wish I had a bad example for a creative CV, but I don't have it, unfortunately. But this is what you should be pulling for, right? When you're going for CVs, you're pushing for order, you're pushing for organization. The other thing that I want you guys to see here, and it may be a bit blurred, is the language. And I didn't touch on this much, but it is important that in your language, when you're speaking to these people and you're pitching yourself, you need to be objective and achievement based. What does that mean? I am a cashier. My responsibilities, counting the money, stock taking. What? No, I don't care to know what you do. I care to know the impact that you have done since joining this team. What achievements have you fostered and ushered in since you joined this team? So let me quickly, let's see if I can successfully find what I'm looking for. I think I can. What is that very, very simple CV? Karina CV. It's very. This is a CV for a recent CV that I did for Karina. Now this is a very simple CV, but this is as good as it gets. This is a resume. Sorry, it's not a CV. This is a resume. It's a one-page resume, and it's not complicated. It's not a creative resume. But as a creative, you could use this as well. My favorite thing about this, amongst other things, is the language use, right? So if you pay attention here, this is not a person saying, I developed an internal tracking system. Now, that could sound nice because, yeah, that could sound nice. But the thing is, you developing an internal system could be part of your job description. But what this says is, I was innovative and I did something and I achieved something, and these are the results. So this person is telling us the outcomes, the positive outcomes of their development. As a digital marketer, when you're writing or constructing your CV, you want to be able to say, I did this, and as a consequence of what I did, we were able to get more sales through our web channels. We were able to get more leads. We were able to convert those leads. We were able to retain those leads. That language matters because people don't care, or hiring managers and companies are not looking for someone who's just going to do their job. There are too many people who are just going to do their job. They're good at doing the job. They were trained to do the job. What we are looking for is for someone who can get us results, someone who has objectives, who delivers, and whose results we can see in the general functioning of the company. As a social media manager, and I'm going to use that because it's the most relevant, and there's a few people who are in that space, your hiring person is interested in knowing, when you worked for this for this client, when you manage their page, whatever, were you able to bring in money for them through that page, right? Were you able to get leads off of that? Were you able to retain them? Did your social media management skills convert to a growth of the business? I am a business. I am not a charity. I'm not just trying to give you money. I want to know if you had objectives, if you achieved them, and if that improved the general outline of the business. And that is what you need to be pushing for. That is, if you look at this CV, everything about this CV and how she communicates the things that she did are focused, or these things are focused on the things that she was able to help them with. We see her actions, and her actions are when we convert, or when we look at her input, we see that the output of her actions has resulted in this growth, and that is what you need to be pushing for. You can forget everything else. When it comes to structuring your CV, the language you are going to use, and it comes back to that point that I made earlier. Let me quickly switch here. Comes back to the point I made earlier about I didn't see that my thing on my jig here is battery low.
Vumboni, we'll
Yes.
enable you 15 to 20 minutes post our end time. Okay.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
In fact, if we're unable to really, just give me a second here. If we are unable to complete everything, I think there's even an opportunity to have another one that focuses a bit more on the CV section of things. But let me just try to come back to the presentation. Where are you? Okay, I found your presentation. Now I just need to share again. Okay, cool. Let me just cool. So it comes back to this point. Oh, my bad. Oh, I ran, didn't I? It comes back to this point here of making an impact, of showcasing your competency and your innovativeness, right? We want to know and we want to see that your work does impact. And you know, I'll share. I'll share some of these templates. Well, the generic ones, not people's projects. I'll share them with you guys so that you see them. I'll share them with the team rather, and hopefully the team will distribute them to you guys. And but the main thing here that everyone needs to get a sense of and appreciate is that, and I repeat, you are trying to make an impact. The point of your CV is to make an impact, an instant impact. Obviously, you need to make an impact on ATS so that it accepts you. We want the robots to accept us. Welcome to the 21st century. But you want to make impact. Then the second thing that you want to do is you want to show your competency. Like days are gone for you to just say, I do the job. And in fact, I hope that even at a personal level, you have an appreciation for wanting to do your work in a way that really showcases your competency, but also improves and yields positive outcomes for the people that you're working with. I think as a creative, more so, as a creative and as a freelancer, let's use the word freelancer, we have the opportunity to genuinely make an impact on the businesses that we work with. And so it's not just about getting the check, getting that 3,500 that these people on Facebook are willing to pay for social media managers. I feel for you guys. I'm sorry. But it's not about that. It's about actually going in there and making an impact and showing that with the skills that you have, all of them, as beautiful as it seems on your interview, you are able to garner and create innovative solutions to the problems that people have, right? So I think that really I have covered the most important parts regarding the CVs. I feel like I don't want to do this part in as much as I'd want to do it. I think I would rather we have a conversation and, use these remaining minutes, time, whatever, to talk about your CVs and the general challenges that you may have. And I don't know, I think maybe we can talk, I can talk to the team and we see maybe, what we can do about this part of the conversation, and maybe we could have a second part. I don't know, because I know that you guys have a calendar and whatever, but I think for now, I'm going to stop here with the 10-15 minutes I'm being offered, and I appreciate it. And we'll open the floor for you guys to just ask your questions and we have a discussion about it. I don't know if that's okay with you guys by Collabora Hub, all about collaboration.
All right. We can take questions. Absolutely. Koketso's hand was up first. Are you ready to take questions, Vumboni? And guys, kindly engage in the poll that is popping up. Would really love to hear from you guys. And we'll also be sending in questions, another poll to see if we can have an interview-based webinar. So please do engage in the polls, okay? Kokets.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Koketo. I'm currently a third year student, but I'm here to inquire about myself and a friend. You caught my attention when you spoke about software development because we're trying to get my friend a job as it is. And we've been just trying to revamp his CV. I'm not sure if I can. Okay, it has these details and stuff, but I'm not sure if I can share it in the chat so that you can see if possible. But we've just been trying, but the things that you mentioned in terms of skills, we ended up like separating and having technical skills, soft skills, and so forth. Obviously he doesn't have an experience. Currently he's working at, it's just like a temp job to basically get what he wants to do to what he wants to do. Yes. So how would you advise that he goes about like doing his CV? Because within his CV there's a part where we added the stuff that he did in terms of like React, PHP, basically courseware. So I'm not sure if that is a good thing.
Okay. Well, so I mean, look, ultimately, there's a few things that you're gonna do differently for depending on, you know, for yourself. So the things that I'm sharing here for the most parts are, you know, generic standard best practice formulas, right? So I would not necessarily say, you know, don't add the PHP this, remove this or whatever. But I think that in the context of web development, software engineering, and etc., this is where, you know, a portfolio rather becomes really, really important. And in the context of the portfolio again, making it as appealing as possible, and that would fall on you now to figure out how that happens. Unfortunately, there's certain industries where it really becomes a blood fest from a hiring standpoint. And I think the IT programming space is one of those, because there's just so many people. I mean, I started last year and I'm decent enough, but every time I think that I'm good enough and I have my bearings and I've created something, someone shows up with something 10 times better. So I think it's ultimately about, you know, making yourself as appealing as possible, whether that is, you know, reworking your about me section or your about me, the about me part of your CV and making it punchy, you know, whether it's rephrasing that, whether it's maybe even making up a story about something that you developed and you use a language and wording that complements what you're looking for. You just need, and ultimately you just need to keep trying, you know what I mean? But you can always reach out after this and we can have a more elaborate conversation about it, just so we can cater to a few more people as well.
Okay, reaching out in a sense of I'm going to get like an email or something to contact
yes
you.
I'll share my details. It's just that I've opened the screen now, but I'll share my details by the chat, and yeah, we can take it from there.
Okay, thank you.
Next,
Vusi, you had your hand up. Royal Family will get to you, but Vusi was first. Vusi, I do have a poll asking if we should have a separate webinar. Please do engage on that. Vusi?
All right. So my question is, I think more controversial, but I think 9 times out of 10, if you're starting off in any career, especially let me talk about tech, right?
yeah.
Why is it not good to lie? Because the barrier to entry is very high, and I've experienced that the guys who actually lied were able to get those
forward.
jobs forward, and then they only then experience those that experience within that job, and then obviously it catches up with them. However, they are able to then adapt quick enough to be very productive.
Yes.
So
Look, I don't want to condone lying, you know, just out of principle, but I think that, as you said, the two most common scenarios in this space is that, one, you are either really good at what you do, but you suck at communicating it. And so someone who's not as good, in fact, your example would be a classic scenario where someone is able to communicate. And that's it. That's the recipe, communicating. So look, if you're trying to really get that job and let me give you an example. I have work that I'm doing presently, and I have no experience in that area whatsoever. I was interested in it, and I did a lot of self-learning, and I think that was enough to get me into, you know, the space where I was now having conversations with, you know, hiring managers and etc. And I was fortunate enough that I got in, and now, as you said, you know, like with the guys who lie and whatever, you get in there and then you deal with the challenges a lot more, right? But I think that ultimately it's really just about communicating. You need to find a way to communicate in a way that gets you in there. That is your end goal, really. You want to get in there. If it means lying, if it means I have, you know, what does Karina say here? I drove redevelopment of internal checking systems in use by 125, whatever. If it means doing that, do it. But I think that in the context of learning and upskilling, then you now need to take it upon yourself to also make sure that at least, and I was going to touch on this in the interview part of it, at least when I get into the room now, and now we have to have a conversation, isn't it? Because you said what you said. You said where now you developed a ticketing system for Old Mutual, for Standard Bank, for ABSA, for whatever, and you never have. Tell us how exactly you did it. They're going to ask you. I was being interviewed for a data manager gig at a fairly big company, and I told them something that I did, but I didn't do that in entirety, because in the projects that I was referencing, I was more so acting as a business development consultant and project manager than the actual tech guy. And so now they're asking me, they're like, yeah, we see that you say you did this and this. Please explain how you did that to us, right? So then it now becomes important for you to go and find out how this thing that you're claiming to be able to do can be done, so that when you get to the interview, you can speak. And it also falls on you to just continuously develop yourself. But listen, you're trying to get the job. So talk however you want to talk. Present yourself however you want to present yourself. This is a sales pitch. You're trying to sell yourself and you're trying to get the job. So I'm not mad at it, just as long as I think you then go on to do that little bit of extra work. So research about what you're talking about, and also maybe taking the initiative to learn.
All right, thank you. By the way, only what happens in tech. You'll be
Yeah.
pretty much,
Yeah.
and also at the junior levels, it doesn't
Yeah.
work. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Not a problem, man.
All righty. Thank you. Royal family, you are up next. Guys, please don't forget to engage in the poll. I've only received 3 votes regarding the next webinar. If I do not have a minimum of 10, I cannot go ahead and schedule the next webinar, guys. Please.
Good evening, everyone. I hope that you're doing good. My name is Morapedi. I am the owner of the Royal Family. I opened it when I was 18.
Nice.
And the goal was to get young people who are in high school to actually start something other than standing on the streets and playing dice. So what we did was we started training them with skills such as modeling, photography, voiceover, radio presenting, and etc. So I've been in the industry for the past 11 years in terms of marketing, events planning, and strategic planning for businesses. I decided to get into the corporate world in 2019, and that was because I was approached by the owner of a hotel once, and he asked me if I would like to manage his hotel. So when I got into the internship, I only stayed until November. Unfortunately, the guy who was owning the hotel was not loyal to the finances, and they ended up shutting down his hotel because he was not paying the rent for the hotel. That was the first job that I got, and then ever since then, I decided, let me just stick in the corporate so that I can finance my business. Because I've got a lot of experience in the industry of the TV, marketing, events, and hospitality industry, my CV is very long. So sometimes if I were to get a job that I'm really interested in applying for, say, for example, if I want to be a marketing manager at Nestle, they want a one-page CV, and my CV does not qualify on one page because I'm the person who enrolls in 3 universities, gets
Yes.
accepted in the 3 universities, do the 3 degrees in 1 year, and
Shout
I
out.
pass all of them.
Shout outs.
And thank you. So my CV is at least 4 pages long,
Cool.
but that's making me get a bit frustrated in terms of getting jobs, because sometimes if it's too long, they won't read it all, and automatically that's actually a decline.
Yes.
So what should I do in this case? Because I can't shrink it where I'm actually now also shrinking my voice, saying that I know how to do this. If you
Okay.
choose me, I have these skills, I have this experience, I have these connections,
Okay.
and I don't know how to shrink it into a way that people can actually read it and say she's qualified for the job. Thank you.
Cool. So I've done environmental sciences, I've done business development and consulting. Yeah. And now I'm doing this web systems development thing. In 2018, 2022, someone hit me up. He just had a company and he had a product and it was selling, but then now he needed more money because he didn't have a business model and he didn't have any internal structures to really run and sustain this business. What happened is now he needs money, and for him to get money, there's auditing that needs to come in, there's this and this and this. I was like, hey man, sorry, I think God has given me a gift in that I have an affinity for helping businesses and I sort of see how we can improve things. I don't know how, but that is. And so I have a conversation with him and I tell him and I say to him, look, you can do this and this and this and this and this and this. And I can help you with trying to get the funding. And that wasn't, yeah, so cool. That happens and all, and I sort of take over his business. I was essentially running his business. I was essentially the CEO of his business, even though he was there. That man would take me to his office and leave me there, and now I have to talk to the staff and this and this and this. I was able to get that man 2 million worth of seed funding. I was able to help their company develop a digital library. I was able to help that company get a partnership with the Department of Education, and that was my biggest thing. That is my favorite thing. That is the biggest, cool. Now, stop clapping and distracting me, guys. Sorry, I appreciate it. Thank you, though. Thank you. I make sure to use that example and that experience everywhere I go. I use it because it's my favorite, but it's also the one that captures my abilities in the biggest, best way possible. Right now, your voice respectfully doesn't matter in the context of your employer or the employer. The employer doesn't care about me and my voice, doesn't care that I've done this and this and that. I have done, climate policy work and I've contributed to climate policy papers and I have a holistic or, big picture understanding of business and sustainability. And no, they don't care. It's great, but they care about what they're looking for. So you have to pander. Is it panda or panda? It's pandering. The Americans say panda, pandering to the white people. Anyway, you have to speak to the people. You have to appease the people that you want to employ you. That's what it bottoms down to, right? It's not about me in this. If you want your voice to continue being loud, proud, heard out there, then I think the path for you is continuing with your independent, pursuits, right? But if you want a voice, the reality is it's difficult to get a voice in a corporate world. Corporate world is a machine. They just want things to be done. So when they ask you to submit a CV in this way, your best bet is just structuring it in such a way that your biggest and best achievement that speaks to the job is what you include, and then you leave everything else. I mean, look at this CV that I've shared here. This is so short, right? And if you have so many experiences, it can be difficult. Let me go to this one. It can be difficult to communicate all of them. This person, I know this person firsthand, and they've done some pretty remarkable work. In fact, this job description and the achievements doesn't really communicate to the fullest extent what this person has done. But this person, we had a discussion and we said, look, we are going to take the most direct and the most necessary things in the context of what you are looking to get, so that, you know, the people that you are looking to now mingle with, the job you're now trying to get, you know, they see that you have the relevant things for what they are looking for. And so that is ultimately what you have to do. It's a balancing act. You have to sacrifice some, you know, that's why it's a resume and then there's a CV, right? What you could do if you want is something I've done as well, is when you send your application, you can attach your resume, right? And I mean, this depends on which platform you are using. So if you're using Indeed, for example, Indeed allows you to have additional files and etc. If it's Gmail, you can do that as well. What you could do is you could give them the thing that they are looking for. So this is my resume with the one thing, cool. And then you attach all these other things as well. And you say, guys, if you want to have a look at the other things that I've done, please, I've also attached the more extensive CV. I've also attached my portfolio. I've also attached my web, whatever. But that can also help. But you need, because in an interesting way, right? Except for if you're extraordinary, this process is also an assessment of whether you are able to do what you are asked to do. So if we say we want a resume and you can't give us a resume, then it's problematic, right? But then if we say we want a resume and you give us a resume, but then you also take the initiative because you're selling yourself to say, look at this that I've done, look at this, it works out for you. So I would recommend doing it in one of those two. In fact, I'd recommend the second option, the one that I just discussed now, a lot more. And if you don't have the leeway to do that, then I recommend that you just focus on the one thing that really speaks to that and hone in on it. Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wait. Do we have another question?
Alrighty. Vusi's hand was up again. I'm
Okay.
sending next question, the next poll. I've posted the last one. Please find the poll under activities. The next one that we have is, how did you learn about Collabora Hub? Famous one. So please do engage with that. Vusi, you can continue if you have another question.
Yes. I'm not sure if this question is gonna be relevant in the next section and the next interview phase. But is it a good practice to, if you then fail in an interview, right? You are not the ideal candidate. Is it a good practice to ask the recruiter or the interview team to give you then feedback on what you faulted on, and can they give you then any relevant information to try to improve then in the next maybe opportunity that you're gonna get?
Okay. I think that applies both to the CV discussion and the interview one. Before you even get to the interview, my little testimonial, one of my favorite experiences, 2 years ago, because I was working with this company that I spoke about, I applied for a management consulting position. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but that is a pretty big position in a company. Or it's a fairly big position and it comes with a lot of responsibility, because I genuinely believe that I can do it. I don't have a lot of experience, but I think I can do it. And I based that off of, you know, the gift that my mind is and what I was able to do while I was working with a few people and companies that I've worked with. And so I applied for a job, and we got to the first phase of the interview process, and they sent me an email and they rejected me. And I was like, may I reject your rejection, guys? I sent them back an email and I was like, okay, you care to explain what it is that, you know, I didn't do right, whatever. They were very nice. They told me everything and they were like, my guy, the thing is, this is a supply, it's a retail and manufacturing space. And even though we hear your experiences and whatever, it's just, we feel like this is a bit too heavy for you, because from our conversation, it didn't sound like, you know, you had the experience that would fit the context of this type of responsibility. And I was like, okay, sharp. was like, here's my proposal to you guys. Please, because there was a test that you're supposed to do after that first interview. I was like, could you please then allow me to do that exercise that I would have done if I had, moved on to the second round? And if I don't do, so I said, you guys have nothing to lose. I do this test. If I do well, then I only ask that you consider giving me a different role. It could be an internship, I could be an associate, I could be a junior, whatever the case may be, I would accept it. I would be happy with it. If I don't, if I suck at this, you guys lose nothing. You just reject, my application and would pretend that I didn't waste your time. Those guys were so nice. They sent me the thing. They sent me the test. I did the test. I passed the test. And then we got to the second stage of it, like the stage after that. And now I'm meeting with the higher ups. Unfortunately, that's where I fumbled the bag and I showed my inexperience. The point in all of this is, one, yes, you should absolutely ask them. Go ahead and ask them, guys, what exactly what is the thing that like messed up? Where did I mess up? Where was there misalignment? And even with your CV that you get email rejections for, I used to see this on LinkedIn where people be like, you should send back the email to the person who rejected you, especially if it's an individual's email. Send back that email. Ask. I understand that they're busy. We don't care. I'm trying to get a job. Send that email. Say, hey, my guy, what is the issue? What did I not do right? And some of them will answer, some of them won't answer, but at least it creates the impression that you want this thing. And so they're going to consider you. And you're going to stay in their mind because, this person is not just taking this lying down. So I would recommend that, yes, you definitely ask for feedback because it's going to help you with your next interview. And it's going to help you with, reiterating your CV, your resume, so that, it pushes you a bit further.
All right. No, thank you very much.
Not a problem.
That's good feedback. Yeah.
All righty. Thank you so much, Vumboni. I do not see any other hand up. Guys, those are Vumboni's details. You may wanna give him a call. You may wanna send him that email, So by all means, do get in touch with him. He has left them for you to get in touch with him. And thank you so much for joining in, Vumboni. Thank you so much for making the time to engage with this community. We really appreciate the time. And I will be following an up on Ayabo's switches. So please do make sure that you send through those switches to Ayabonga. And while at that, guys, please do let us know on our group or even on the next poll that is coming up on how you found this particular webinar on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being could be better, 3 being average. Sorry for rating you.
Average.
And
5
being
terrible.
informative, right? So if you absolutely enjoyed this webinar, please, do leave some ratings over there. So that will be it for today. But please don't leave without, leaving a rating for Vumboni. We need to see if we can
rate me. Rate me. Where did you rate me? Anyway, cool.
Alrighty, I think that's pretty much it. Mapudusi, do you have anything that you would like to say? Okay, it's a 10 out of a 10. Not that you're a 10. Anyways, guys, please do check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram as well, just to see what you can, if we are having any other upcoming webinars, don't miss it out. And we do have a WhatsApp group. If you are not yet on the WhatsApp group, give me a second to send you a link. You can join our WhatsApp group there. All right.
Cool. All right. Shut up. Goodbye.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Shop. Then we have the link to our WhatsApp group. Anybody still here? There we go. Right. Bye, everybody.